So what we're looking at today: farm life, nature's adventures. You grow, harvest, nurture, explore, fish, shop, love, mine, and events. It's a game which seems to be taking Harvest Moon's inspiration with it, so let's see whether it does pull it off, and let's judge. To start with the graphics. The graphics are a retro style again, emulating the SNES era, I would say, or just after, but as you regular viewers would know, I've stopped trying to actually name these retro style graphics, and for it being so repetitive now, unfortunately we're going to start off with a sin. So the farming is what this game is all based around, and for me there was a little bit of tedium, but the main problem for me was that most of the products that you buy give you a 50% increase when you sell them back to the shop. So you plant a seed, you water it, you pick it, you sell it. So what's the problem with everything having a 50% increase? This is a decision that you have to make in this game, is whether you take more products and take more time in planting them to have a bigger increase because the cheaper stuff takes less time to grow, or whether you put less effort into the farming, which I don't know why you would, because the farming is where you get your money from to start with. So essentially this is bottlenecking me down to one decision, which is to buy the cheaper things and to put the extra effort in. So for lack of innovation in this particular area, I am going to go for a sin. There is good use of space within the map. It shows you different parts of the world in different seasons, and you do get a feeling that you are moving and exploring through the world. There's a train, there's even a train, which by the way will give it a win for that just now. Oh, and also there's an old man who appears to be keeping bodies in lockup, so win again for that one. But this use of the map and this use of it, feeling that you are exploring some areas, is a good step, and I do enjoy it. And when I moved around, I felt like I was in snowy hills or on the beach. So for that, I'm going to give the game a win, to go with its other wins, of course. The relationships in the game, it tells me that I can get married and create a family, but the women that I've met so far have all not been very distinguishable from each other, and I haven't actually really cared who I do or don't get with. The other thing about relationships is that there seems to be a heart-filling aspect to it, and I gave a few presents to see what would happen, and it brought up some dialogue that had a little heart of them basically saying the same line depending on which presents I gave them. Some didn't like some things, but the choices of what you give to the girls is so limited that being able to figure it out is not actually very hard at all. And the other thing I couldn't figure out is that when you gave them something that they seemed to like, it brought a shiny heart up on the screen as you had a little bit of a chat, but all the hearts were filled in between me and them, and it didn't change this at all. And also it wasn't changing any dialogue with the person. So again, I found myself not caring about any of the people that I'm supposed to be having a relationship and making a family with. And losing that aspect of the choices in this game for me is just losing another angle for me to actually care about the game. So as far as that's concerned, we're going to go for a sin. The dialogue was something else which I picked up on the game, and I've just mentioned that the dialogue between the characters just seems emotionless. There's jokes in the game, but they're all about how much they love this game, which is pretty pathetic. And for me, the dialogue being as flat as it is, really is a sin. The game does seem to be ported from a touchscreen device, and I'm basing that upon that some of the menus ask you to touch, and some of the menus are actually controller supported. But in all the menus there is too many clicks. An example of this is that when you're farming, to change the tool that you're holding, you have to unclick the tool you've got before you click the new tool that you have, which is one additional tool. If I'm clicking the bucket, I just want to replace the hoe that I'm using at the moment. But there's that extra click there, and also when you're in shops you can't pick the amount you buy and you just have to click, 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 click. So this poor porting is what I'm going to put it down to. I'm not going to say it's lack of innovation in the menus, because I'm going to give the developer a bit more credit than that, but anyway, it still creates a sin. The music in the game was something else which got to me. It started off as a win. It seemed very cute and making the most out of what they had available to them. But after a while the loop just started grinding through my ears, and I don't know whether this was because it was a bad soundtrack or whether there's just no volume sliders in the menu. You either have it off or you have it on. If I could put it as a more background sound, I think it could have been more livable. But we have to judge it in the way that it is, and for that it is a sin. So overall I found the game boring and stale. It reminded me very much of Harvest Moon, which I think it may have worn as inspiration on its sleeve, but I'm going to go as far as saying it didn't wear its inspiration on its sleeve, it just put the whole thing on as a suit and asked me to call it Mary Jane, which I'm not. I'm just going to call it a Harvest Moon with less money put behind it, and the innovations that are there I've not had a chance to come across yet. So why have I not given this game as much of a fair chance as I do other games? It was because of a game-ending bug. This isn't early access, this is a full release. But there is a bug in the game where it happens near the end of the month, but when I'll enter a room, and the rooms are timed off because of delays in the game. They have shops that open up at certain times, they don't open up for holidays and weekends, which is a nice touch. But these doors start acting erratically. When I'm able to move through the doors and get to the other side, what I'm awarded with is the only thing that works in the controls is the movement. So I can no longer select anything, move anything, go into my inventory, or do anything like that. So for a full release to have such a big bug in it that would stop me from even being able to progress, we are going to have to go for overall judgment of purgatory approaching hell. I.e., I'll keep an eye on it, but I'm not keeping my hopes up for it. But enjoy the world.